The biggest mistake most people make about confrontation is believing the battle begins the moment someone raises their voice. But by then, the real battle is often already over. It starts much earlier, silently, inside your own mind. Before a single word is spoken, your brain is already imagining failure, replaying worst-case scenarios, and preparing to defend yourself against a danger that may never even exist. That's why two people can walk into the exact same confrontation, yet one stays calm while the other completely loses control. Think back to the last time someone challenged you. Maybe it was a sharp comment from a coworker, a painful criticism from someone in your family, or an argument with a person whose opinion mattered deeply to you. What happened first? Your heart started racing. Your breathing became shallow. Your thoughts scattered in every direction. And without even realizing it, you stopped responding to what was actually happening. You started reacting to the story your mind was creating about what might happen next. This is the trap almost everyone falls into. We assume our emotions are caused by the other person, but more often than not, they're caused by the meaning we instantly assign to the situation. More than 2,000 years ago, the Stoic philosopher Epictetus understood this truth with remarkable clarity. He taught that people are not disturbed by events themselves, but by the judgments they make about those events. An insult has no power on its own. It only becomes painful when your mind decides it threatens your worth, your reputation, or your identity. Modern psychology points to the same conclusion. The moment your brain senses conflict, it activates the fight or flight response. Your body prepares for survival, not wisdom. Every word begins to sound like an attack. Every disagreement feels personal. Even silence can feel like rejection. The greatest danger is no longer the confrontation itself. It's the fact that you'd handed control of your mind over to fear. Now imagine two people receiving the same angry phone call. One immediately assumes the worst. They interrupt, become defensive, and let emotion dictate every response. The other takes a single breath. Instead of believing every fearful thought, they observe what is actually happening before reacting. The situation hasn't changed, but the outcome almost certainly will. This is the invisible battle that decides the course of nearly every confrontation before it even begins. If your emotions are leading your mind, you've already surrendered your greatest advantage. But if your mind remains steady while emotions rise, you've discovered a form of strength that shouting, intimidation, or anger can never defeat. And here's the question that changes everything. If another person's words can control your emotions so easily, were they ever truly in control, or did you quietly hand them the power yourself? Most people think an aggressive person wants to win the argument, but more often than not, that's not what they're after. What they really want is far more valuable. They want control over you. Because the moment they control your emotions, they no longer have to win with logic. Your anger will do the work for them. Think about how most confrontations begin. A cutting remark, a sarcastic smile, an interruption, just as you're trying to explain yourself. These moments aren't always meant to prove a point. They're often designed to provoke a reaction. The louder your emotions become, the quieter your judgment grows. And that's exactly where manipulation begins. The Stoics understood this long before modern psychology gave it a name. Marcus Aurelius ruled one of the most powerful empires in history, yet his greatest battles weren't fought on distant frontiers. They were fought inside his own mind, surrounded by betrayal, political games, false accusations, and people eager to provoke him into rash decisions. He understood one simple truth. If someone could control his emotions, they could influence his choices. His greatest strength wasn't the crown on his head, it was the discipline within it. The same principle plays out every single day. Imagine someone insulting you in front of other people. Your mind immediately urges you to respond, to defend yourself, to prove them wrong. It feels like staying calm means losing, but in reality, the opposite is true. Every impulsive reaction tells the other person they've succeeded. They've shifted the conversation away from reason and into emotion, exactly where they wanted you. Now imagine choosing a different response. Instead of reacting immediately, you pause. You take one slow breath. You let a brief silence settle before you speak. Suddenly, something unexpected happens. The emotional momentum changes. The person who expected anger is met with composure instead. And without raising your voice, you've quietly taken back control of the entire interaction. This is why silence is so often misunderstood. Silence isn't weakness when it comes from confidence. It's strength expressed through restraint. It forces the other person to sit with their own emotions instead of feeding yours. And more often than not, that uncertainty is far more powerful than the cleverest comeback you could ever deliver. But Stoicism doesn't ask you to become passive or accept disrespect. Remaining calm doesn't mean remaining silent out of fear. It means choosing your response instead of surrendering it to someone else's emotions. And yet, there's one mistake even calm people continue to make. They stay quiet on the outside while chaos rages within. They're suppressing their emotions, not mastering them. And until that inner battle is won, true peace will always remain just out of reach. So what is the Stoic secret that allows one person to remain calm while everyone around them is consumed by emotion? It isn't stronger willpower, it isn't pretending not to care, and it certainly isn't suppressing your feelings. The real secret begins with a single mental shift, one so small that most people overlook it completely. Stop seeing yourself as the person trapped inside the confrontation and start seeing yourself as the observer of it. That idea sounds almost too simple, yet it changes everything. Most people don't experience emotions, they become them. The moment anger appears, they believe they are angry. The moment fear rises, they assume they must obey it. Without realizing it, their emotions take the driver's seat, while reason is pushed quietly into the background. And once that happens, every decision is shaped by impulse instead of wisdom. The Stoics trained themselves to break this pattern. Seneca compared emotions to violent storms. You can't stop the clouds from gathering, and you can't always prevent the first flash of lightning. But you can decide whether you'll stand in the middle of the storm or watch it pass from solid ground. The first emotional reaction is often automatic. The second is where your freedom begins. Imagine someone humiliates you in front of a room full of people. Your heartbeat accelerates. Your chest tightens. A voice inside your mind immediately says, "Don't let them get away with this." Most people obey that voice without hesitation. They interrupt. They lash out. They say something they'll regret long after the confrontation has ended. A Stoic does something almost invisible. They pause, just for a moment. They notice their breathing. They feel the tension in their body without fighting it. They watch the anger rise like a wave, but they refuse to let it carry them away. In that tiny space between emotion and action lies a kind of freedom that most people never discover. Modern psychology calls this cognitive distancing, the ability to step back from your thoughts instead of instantly believing them. The Stoics mastered this principle centuries before science gave it a name. They understood something most of us forget in moments of conflict. Your thoughts are not orders, and your feelings are not facts. They are experiences you can observe, question, and choose not to follow. And something remarkable happens when you learn this skill. People slowly lose the ability to control you. Their insults stop dictating your mood. Their anger no longer decides your behavior. You become extraordinarily difficult to manipulate because your actions are guided by reason instead of impulse. And that's the moment everything changes. Because the calm that most people mistake for weakness is often the very thing that unsettles your opponent the most. Most people believe that staying calm during a confrontation makes you look weak. The truth is almost the exact opposite. The first person to lose control is usually the first person to lose influence. The moment someone has to shout, interrupt, or desperately defend themselves, they've already revealed something important. They're no longer leading the conversation. Their emotions are. Real strength rarely announces itself. It doesn't need to. Think about the people you've respected most in your life. Chances are, they weren't the loudest person in the room. They didn't argue over every criticism or rush to prove their point. Their confidence came from something much quieter. They remained composed when everyone else was pulled into emotional chaos. And that composure created something surprisingly powerful. It made them impossible to read. The Stoics understood this deeply, but history offers countless examples. A Roman general standing before thousands of frightened soldiers couldn't afford to panic. If fear appeared on his face, it spread through the entire army. His calm wasn't just personal discipline, it became everyone else's source of confidence. The same principle shaped the samurai. Before learning how to defeat an opponent, they first learned how to defeat the fear, anger, and impatience within themselves. To them, the most dangerous warrior wasn't the most aggressive. It was the one whose emotions could not be controlled by anyone else. That same battle plays out in everyday life. Imagine you're in the middle of a heated argument. Voices are getting louder. People begin interrupting each other. The room fills with tension. Instead of matching their pace, you slow yours. You breathe. You keep your posture relaxed. You speak only when you have something worth saying. Without realizing it, everyone else begins adjusting to your emotional rhythm, instead of forcing you into theirs. That's real influence. Emotional people are easy to predict. Push the right button, and they react exactly as expected. But calm people create uncertainty. They can't be manipulated because no one knows what will shake them. And when someone realizes they can no longer control your emotions, they often begin losing confidence in their own strategy instead. This doesn't mean becoming cold or emotionless. Stoicism has never been about suppressing emotions until they explode. It's about experiencing every emotion without allowing it to take command. Anger may knock at the door. Fear may whisper in your ear. But neither is ever allowed to make your decisions. Over time, this quiet discipline changes something even more important than the way others see you. It changes the way you see yourself. You stop wondering whether you'll break under pressure because you'd already proven to yourself that your peace doesn't depend on another person's behavior. But one final challenge still remains, because even after the argument is over, many people unknowingly continue fighting it inside their own minds. And that invisible battle is often the hardest one to win. Most people believe a confrontation ends the moment the conversation is over, but that's rarely where it ends. For many people, that's where it truly begins. Hours later, they're still replaying every sentence. They imagine the perfect comeback they never said. They relive the insult over and over again. They argue with someone who isn't even there anymore. Meanwhile, the other person has already moved on with their day. The argument ended, but inside their own mind, the battle never did. This is one of the deepest traps the Stoics warned us about. Marcus Aurelius didn't end his days by replaying the people who offended him. He reflected for a very different reason, to release the weight he was never meant to carry. He understood that dragging yesterday's conflicts into tomorrow doesn't punish the other person. It quietly punishes you. Every minute spent feeding resentment is another minute of your peace placed in someone else's hands. Modern psychology gives this habit a name: rumination. It feels productive because your mind convinces you you're solving the problem. But something very different is happening. Every replay strengthens the emotional memory. Your brain responds to vivid mental rehearsals, almost as if the experience were happening again. The wound doesn't stay open because of what they said. It stays open because your mind keeps reopening it. Imagine someone insults you for 10 seconds in the morning. Now imagine thinking about those 10 seconds for the next 10 hours. Who caused most of your suffering? The insult, or the countless times you chose to relive it? That question changes everything. A Stoic responds differently. Once the confrontation is over, they ask a simple question: what is this experience trying to teach me? If they made a mistake, They learn from it without attacking themselves. If the other person acted unfairly, they refuse to carry that emotional weight any longer. The lesson is kept. The resentment is left behind. One simple habit can make this easier than most people imagine. Before going to sleep, spend just a few minutes writing down any conflict you experienced that day. Record only the facts, not the dramatic story your mind created around them. Then ask yourself 3 questions. What was under my control? What wasn't? What will I do differently next time? Little by little, your mind stops searching for revenge and starts searching for wisdom. And that's the final victory Stoicism offers. Not winning every argument, not proving someone else wrong, but reaching a place where no insult, no criticism, and no confrontation has the power to steal your inner peace. Because the strongest person isn't the one who defeats everyone they meet. It's the one who refuses to become a prisoner of yesterday's battle. Every confrontation you face will leave you with the same decision, not whether you were right, not whether the other person apologized, but whether you allowed someone else to take control of the only thing that has ever truly belonged to you, your mind. The world will never run out of difficult people. There will always be someone who misunderstands you, criticizes you, tests your patience, or deliberately tries to provoke you. Waiting for the world to become peaceful is a battle you'll never win. But the Stoics discovered something far more powerful. They stopped trying to control what has belonged to others and devoted themselves to mastering what belonged to them. Think about everything we've explored together. Every confrontation begins inside your own mind before a single word is spoken. People who seek conflict often aren't searching for truth. They're searching for your emotional reaction. The greatest Stoic secret isn't learning how to silence other people. It's learning how to quiet the voice inside yourself that begs you to react. Because calmness was never weakness. It has always been strength under complete control. Now imagine what your life would look like if no insult could ruin your day, no criticism could shake your confidence, no confrontation could steal your peace. That's the kind of freedom Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus spent their lives trying to cultivate. Not the power to dominate other people, but the discipline to remain master of themselves under every circumstance. And perhaps that's why truly calm people are so unforgettable. Anyone can stay composed when life is easy, but the person who remains steady while everyone else is consumed by emotion possesses a strength that cannot be borrowed, bought, or taken away. So the next time someone challenges you, don't ask yourself, how do I win this argument? Ask something far more important. When this moment is over, will I still own my own mind? Because if the answer is yes, then you've already won the only battle that was ever worth fighting. If this video gave you a new way of looking at conflict, let me know in the comments. What's one confrontation that taught you something about yourself? I'd genuinely love to read your experience. And if you're ready to build a mind that remains calm when the world around it isn't, subscribe to the channel and continue with the next video. Because Stoicism isn't about escaping life's battles. It's about becoming the kind of person they can no longer defeat.